Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to this third edition of Somehow We Manage. I have my friendly neighborhood co-host here, as always, who is a new college graduate.
Absolutely.
Spence, who is just the best 8 years of your life, right?
Only 5, but I wish it could have been 8. I would have gone for 8.
How does it feel, man?
It feels good. It feels good. You know, I walked across the stage Saturday, and as soon as I got handed the diploma, I was just like, you know what? Time to get serious now. No more playing around. So it's went back to work Monday, and it's the real world now.
Certainly. Yeah, now you're you're in it for the long haul now. No more little vacations.
I'm not gonna say no more vacations.
We need to add that you started this job and then you took like 3 vacations within like the second week. I want everybody that's listening to know that.
I took a week off.
Went to Pinehurst and and you graduated.
Yep, went to
Pinehurst. Drank beer for a week straight.
I went to some pubs. You know, you celebrated it the right way.
All right, Spence, let's get serious here for a second, because this is going to be a top-notch, serious podcast today.
We have a national champion on.
Well, hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. So, over the course of your life, because you and I, we're old, we're seasoned vets at this point. There's certain people you meet that influence you, mentor you, take you under their wing. They make a difference. They teach you things. Am I wrong? There are certain few over the course of your life. Am I wrong?
No.
Well, I am very honored to say that we have one of those special individuals today for the first guest of Somehow We Manage, and also the namesake of this podcast. If you'll remember, we were rolling with the name Wiping the Floor, but now it's Somehow We Manage. So eloquently said. So our first guest, Mr. Travis Hackert. Coach, so great to have you.
Man, I tell you what, I'm so honored to be on this thing. I mean, seriously, this might be one of the biggest days of my life is to be on this podcast.
Coach, so, I would take that a step further. This might be the first day of the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Man, one thing about you always got some lines. You always have some lines.
The doors this opens for you, this is big, so don't screw it up. Because we can take you places.
A lot of pressure. It's a good thing I've worked in a high-pressured industry.
That most certainly, and we'll get to that for sure. So before I do anything, I want to ask you this, because I don't want to forget it, because this might be the most important thing you taught us. What is feel?
I knew this was going to come up.
We talked about it in the first episode, but it had to come from the originator.
I knew this was going to come up. And you know, what's interesting today is I thought about feel today. So I was out playing golf today with an older gentleman. He's 90. Okay. And we got hot dogs at the turn. And versus me just hitting quick off the tee, I had feel and I took my time so the man could eat his hot dog.
There you go. Prime example.
So feel is just being aware of your surroundings and understanding the atmosphere of the room and understanding what to do whenever you walk in there. It's just having a feel. That's where managers, you have to have a feel, because you're gonna be dealing with people who have big personalities, and you're going to be dealing with high pressure situations where you can get nervous, and so you have to be able to feel the room out and make the right decision. And I thought this past year, I thought it was a skill that could be taught, but I think it's either got it or you don't.
And none of our managers this year had it, right?
No, some of you guys got better. Some didn't get any better on the feel part, but some guys did, because they were beginning to see what I was talking about. So feel is very important, because it's going to take you a long ways in life if you got feel.
I remember one day I asked you, I was like, give me some manager tips, just like we were just chewing the fat. And one thing you taught me, and I've not forgot it, you said, if you're not wanted in a room, just walk away. I still remember that.
That's where if you're in a situation when you're in a room with some people, you probably don't belong in, not necessarily in a bad situation, but in a high powered room where there's some maybe athletic directors or CEOs, and you don't belong there. They're going to be probably speaking about some things that you don't need to be hearing. Just walk away and don't say a word. But some people will want to be, in the know and stay in there, and then it's awkward, and they don't necessarily want to tell you to leave the room. So you just have to have feel and be like, all right, this conversation is probably not for me. I better just leave. So
100%. Spence.
Is that your most important thing that you learned as a manager when you were coming up?
No, I wouldn't say that. The best thing, and I always tell managers this, the best thing that you get as a manager is establishing a work ethic. The work ethic, the work that you have to put in as a manager, people have no clue the hours you have to put in. So I always tell guys whenever we have a first year meeting with the managers that you don't have to manage and be a coach. Not every manager wants to be a coach, and that's fine, but you're going to establish a work ethic that when you get in the real world, people just don't want to work, and you're going to be able just to run circles around them because they don't want to do the extra like we as managers have had to do.
Mhm.
So we know that we're going to, we know whatever it's going to take to get the job done, we're going to do it, whether it's at midnight, whether it's at 6 a.m. And in this world, people are just working 9 to 5. And after 5 o'clock, it's over with. They're not answering emails or texts or calls. That's not the case with managers. So the most important thing to me is the work ethic part that you get built in you, ingrained in you, and then the opportunities are endless after that. Do you guys agree with me on that?
I agree 100%.
Couldn't agree more. And Spence, we talked about this, I think, in the first episode. I like to refer to it as the world's greatest internship.
Yes, that's good.
Because, our guy Ryan Heath, who's just stepped away from the program, he's going to go and work in God knows what. But we've talked about it. I look at him and I'm like, that dude's going to kill it because he just has an attention to detail. And not just Ryan, any manager who's going on to, become a graduate assistant or whatever. There's a work ethic, like you said, and an attention to detail and just knowing how to get things done. Like we say, FAW, find a way.
Mm-hmm.
Other kids our age, they just don't get it. That's the way I see it.
I like to see guys as far as managers. I call it shake. You got shake. Can you get something done without asking somebody 70 questions about it? Can a task be given to you? It hits a roadblock. Do you got enough shake to sit there and think, all right, what's my next option? Caegan, prime example, we're down at Daytona Beach. They're not giving you colored copies at the front desk. So what do? You got shake enough to say, oh, well, let me just go down to the next hotel and see if they do it. That's shake. I was proud of you on that one.
Luckily they didn't find out I didn't stay there. We did it for like a solid week.
Hey, but the one thing that my family has taught me is if you just act like you're supposed to be there, most of the time nobody's gonna ever say anything to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We walked in that side door there and kind of hung around and we were looking at like the menu and the little restaurant in there. I was checking around, then walk up to that front desk and was like, hey, love staying here, blah, blah, blah. It's been a fun time. Can you do this for me like you did last night? So Coach, I'm looking at this resume of yours, and try not to blush when I say this because we all know how proud of yourself you are. How highly you think of yourself. So I'm looking at this resume of yours, and this is for somebody. How old are you? Tell the audience, how old are you?
30 years old.
You're 30 years old. So at the age of 30, this guy. So you went to the University of Louisville, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So at Louisville, you were on the dean's list.
Yes.
How many times did you do that?
I think every semester.
Every single semester at Louisville. So not only were you a manager and you were the head manager at a high major program, one of the top programs in the country at the time, but you were also hitting the books.
I was.
You were getting it done in the classroom. Very, very impressive. We'll commend you for that. Because Spencer, we don't have that in our bag.
No. I picked the easiest major that could. My classes were in Trask, so I was, I just stuck close to basketball. Everybody asked me what I majored in. I was like, pretty much basketball.
That's okay. It's all about who you know. That's it.
That's
most definitely
100%.
So you get your bachelor's degree from Louisville, and it's in what? Tell the folks.
Business finance.
Okay, so you're a math guy.
Yeah.
You can crunch numbers. Okay, so let me just go down the list here. So 2012 Big East tournament champions. You reach a Final Four that year. 2013 Big East regular season and tournament champions. In 2014, you win the American regular season and tournament. Then you come to UNCW with Coach Keats and Coach Siddle. You win 2 CAA championships, 2 tournament championships, and 3 regular season championships. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Been to the tournament how many times?
I can't even. I'm trying to think. 7 times. 7 times, I believe. 7 times.
And then on top of that, this year we have an unbelievable year here at UNCW, maybe arguably the most memorable team in UNCW men's basketball history, at another regular season championship and a CBI championship. Did you ever think you'd coach in the CBI?
I did.
Those alternative tournaments.
You know, it's a behind the scenes story with that is obviously at my 4 years of Louisville, we went to the NCAA tournament every year. So we came to UNCW with Coach Keats and we played in the CIT the first year.
Right.
And it was very weird because I had been so used to playing in the NCAA tournament and being part of March Madness. So that was a very interesting situation. So I wasn't necessarily excited about it, but we hadn't been to postseason. So I was, you know, it was what it was. And then we played in the CBI this year. So it was kind of the running joke that Trav doesn't want to play in the CBI or CITs because he only plays in the NCAA tournament type situation. But I've been a participant in every single postseason tournament there is.
Every single one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So you did the NIT at State, right?
I did the NIT at State. Yeah, we did 2 years of that.
So, and there's nothing other than the CBI and the CIT. There's no other postseason tournament?
That's it.
Okay.
CBI,
Wow.
CIT, NIT, and NCAA. Maybe I only did 1 year of NIT at State. I can't remember. But you know what? You know what, Caegan? Guess how many baskets I've scored? 0. So I always say this. I've just been a part of it. I can't say I've played a major role, and I've just been very blessed to be a part of very successful programs and be a part of very successful teams. And, you know, I don't ever take credit for any of that stuff because at the end of the day, I didn't make a single basket on any of those championship teams, but it was fun being a part of them.
So modest. We love this guy. We really do. Well, hey, here's something I didn't know until I was taking a look at your resume. You've been a part of some AAU teams.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny is this is funny. So I coached my little brother's team. I was a junior in high school and my little brother was in middle school. So I coached his AAU team. Guess what our record was?
Undefeated.
We didn't win a single game.
Not one.
We were like 0-18.
Really?
Yes. And so I said, how funny is this going to be that if I become some college coach at some point that I started off my coaching career and I didn't win a game. But so, yeah, I did some coaching with that. And then I helped with my little brother's team. So, yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of AAU coaching, but I did do some. And it was fun. It was fun while it lasted.
How old were you on the team that didn't win any games?
I was 16 years old when I was coaching.
So you're 16. I mean, do you get discouraged at that age? I mean,
yeah, not really, because you know why? We have bad players. So
never the coach's fault, obviously.
That's one thing you guys will learn. It's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmies and Joes.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey, so you're 16 coaching the AAU. You're rolling out. Are you rolling in? You know, you just got your license at 16. You're coming in with the van to the AAU tournament. Everybody's piling up
with the orange slices.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that at that point. We had some parents, taking care of, but it was definitely a learning experience for me for sure on what the heck I was doing, and I didn't know what I was doing at that point.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that though. It's not about the X's and the O's. It's the Johnnies and the Joes. I've heard that a million times. I don't think people quite understand that. You know, they always blame the coaches or whatever. Like, he didn't run it this way, and it's like, well, at the end of the day, you just didn't have. I mean, the other team was better. I mean, look at a program like UNC or Duke or Kentucky or whoever. 9 times out of 10, they have the more athletic team. They can run faster and jump higher. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, if you obviously we played against and scouted teams like them in the past, and the higher you go as far as the level, obviously there is strategy, but they're very simple in what they know what they're doing. And they're going to execute it and basically say, stop us. Stop us. Can you stop us? Whatever we're doing. And, there's guys who try to overcoach, and then there's guys who don't coach at all. And I think it's finding that balance, because yes, coaching, it is important. It is important to get the guys where they need to be. So that does play a factor, but there are those guys who can just, it doesn't matter what you're running, they'll just go get a basket. And so I think, if you pay attention to NBA, yes, there is strategy. They're running sets. They know what they're doing, and they know what they're executing, but they are more simple than people may think, because they just have the players that they don't necessarily have to run a bunch of sets and a bunch of motion to get them shots. They can just get them to their spot and let them make a play. So I think basketball gets simpler as the levels get higher. And I know there are programs who are more complicated, yes, obviously, but the elite players, a lot of them are in very simple programs.
So what age, we're talking about the AAU coaching and kind of how you got brought up into coaching and all that. At what age did you realize, hey, this is what I want to do, and pursue that as a career option?
One thing that, people don't really know is my mom has been coaching since basically she was pregnant with me. So she played college basketball, was an All-American, won a national championship. And so basketball is like in our blood, in our family. And so there's never been a year in my life that I haven't been in a gym during a season. Growing up, I was always in the gym with my mom during her seasons. And so I was about 15, 14 years old when I realized, like, I'm not going to play Division I college basketball. I'm not good enough. I'm 6-foot guard. There's a million of them out there. I'm not super athletic. So how can I stay around the game and still still be involved with it? So I knew coaching was what I wanted to do, and I wanted to chase it at the highest level. And so I'm from a very small town. It's only, 8,000 people in the town. So small town in Michigan. And one guy that I've known went to Arizona, was a manager. And so I kind of known him a little bit. So I kind of asked him, like, what is this managing thing? And he's like, hey, this is how a lot of guys break into coaching if they're not Division I players. So that's kind of how I got the idea circulating, was I'll go try to be a manager, and then I'll try to work my way up in the college Division I ranks and see what happens with it. And so I had a dream about, when I was about 14, and I wanted to go all out for it. And that's what I did.
Coach, let's take just a tiny step back here. So you're in high school, right? And you said, I'm not going to be a Division I player. Well, here's my question. What kind of athlete were you? Because I see this like scrappy, skinny little white dude. Like, I see you smacking the floor. You're Wojo out there. What kind of athlete were you in high school?
I was athletic. I was athletic. I was a good point guard in high school. I played on very good teams. We won, district and region championships. And I've never, last year was the first team I've ever been on that had a below 500 record, at UNCW. And so,
wow,
we were always a very good basketball program. I had a very great high school coach, and I still keep in touch with him now. And so I was an athlete. I was the quarterback growing up. I didn't play high school football because I had gotten a severe car wreck when I was in middle school. But I was good at every sport I played. Baseball, I didn't start playing until I was in high school, and I was the leadoff hitter, at one point. And so it's like I was a good athlete, but I just wasn't that freak athlete that was going to play Division I college basketball. Could I have played at a community college or a small Division III? Yeah, of course. But I wanted to chase this dream of coaching more than I wanted to play, per se.
So then you go to Louisville. Why Louisville?
So my mother is from Louisville, and so I had family down there, and I always loved Louisville athletics. Growing up, that was who I always rooted for. And so, I always idolized Rick Pitino in that regard. And so it's honestly a miracle that I was even a manager at Louisville. I knew nobody, and a lot of the managers at Louisville were somehow connected with Rick Pitino, whether there was their dads were friends with him or a company or some type of, there was a connection. So, like I said, I was going all out for it. So I went and stayed with my family, my mom's family down there the summer before my senior year of high school. And I just lived with my aunt and just tried to meet people, just trying to figure out how I can make a connection. And so, it's kind of funny just how kind of God works. So I was taking my cousin down to football practice every day in Louisville and just doing whatever my aunt and uncle were telling me to do. And so one of the coach's son, I would babysit him while they were practicing. And so about one of the last days before I was supposed to go home to Michigan for my senior year of high school, I hadn't made any connections. I hadn't made any. And so the coach, the high school, the football coach came up to me and was like, "Hey, the way you take care of my son, I've been paying attention. I can tell you're like a genuine person. And I know one of the assistant coaches at Louisville, and your aunt said something about you want to be a manager there. I'll make a phone call right now and I'll get you a meeting." I was like, "Oh, no way." So we were standing right there. He picked the phone up and he called Steve Masiello, who was an assistant at the time. And Steve was like, "Yeah, have him come in." And so I came in the next day, sat down with Steve and had a great conversation. And he was like, "Yeah, you can be a manager next year." So I left the next day and went to Michigan. But I literally didn't know a single person on the staff. And, God worked a miracle for me to even get in front of the right people. And so I didn't apply to a single school out of high school. Louisville was the only school I was going to. It didn't matter if I got into Harvard. I was going to Louisville to be a manager and to chase the coaching dream.
But we didn't have to worry about you getting into Harvard, right? Let's not lie to our listeners, because they're good people. This is a family show, so
I can see you now, or just like the thought comes over my head, and I would be doing the same thing. If I had to wait a whole year, you got that meeting with them. I get to see you going back to Michigan and having a calendar up on the room, and every day you wake up, all right, 364 more days until I get to be a manager at Louisville. 300
like Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
I was so
365 more days
excited.
to make this hockey season. Got to get tough.
Yeah, I was so excited, and I would call Coach Masiello like every month and a half, every 2 months, like, "Hey, I'm still good, right? I'm still good. Yeah, you're still good. You're still good." And I went, a lot of kids wouldn't go till they started the fall semester. I went summer one. I was there the first day the guys were there, and I was in the trenches just from the very beginning, wanting to get my start. And so that was it. That was all I wanted to do. I didn't care.
Were you starstruck at all when you your first day?
I wouldn't say I was. I wouldn't say I was starstruck. Obviously, I knew all the guys just from paying attention and following them. But I think that's something that managers really struggle with, especially at the high major level, is like having the feel, like I say, to just understand that these are regular dudes. They don't want to, when they step out in the public, that's how everybody else treats them. So you can't, as a manager, treat them like that. You can't be, oohing and on over them. You're there to do a job, so you've got to do the job. And so, once you get to know them and they're normal people, and I always tell aspiring managers and managers who come on our staff is it's a family. Nobody's going to treat you any different. Yeah, you may be doing some jobs that are, sweeping and cleaning and some low level jobs, but nobody thinks of you any different, so it's all about putting your pride to the side and understand, as far as a program and a team, everybody has a job. So everybody should do whatever their job is to the best of their abilities, and it all will work out the way it's supposed to work out, because we all know, because we've been managers, that a program cannot function without them.
Nope.
It cannot function without managers. And so me being one and being in your guys' shoes before, I always try to treat you guys the right way, because I've been there and I understand what you guys are going through. And I know the demands, the time, the balancing act of academics and your personal life and the basketball aspect. And then, it's tough because you're kind of in the middle of, you have a relationship with the coaches, but you have a relationship with the players, and then having the trust between the both of them. And that's where it can get kind of interesting with guys. Is some guys want to just be the players' boys and go out with them. Well, as the staff, we kind of look at that funny. But then there's the guys who are the managers who are so tight with the staff and are snitching on the players, then the players are looking at you a different way. So there's this middle ground you have to tread as a manager. And so that's where you have, whenever you get started as a manager, you have to get that feel of what the balancing act of, all right, yeah, there might have to be a few things that I don't necessarily tell the staff about. And there may be some things I don't tell the players about that the staff may be saying. So that's an important aspect of the job that you have to understand going in.
Beautiful. I never had that problem about being a fanboy, right?
You were one of the worst. This is the honest truth. You were one of the biggest fanboy managers I've ever come across. Even at Louisville, even as big time as those NBA guys. And I shouldn't say you were necessarily a fanboy. You just knew what you were talking about, and you did your research, which I respect because you understand like who everybody was, what their background was. So that's not necessarily a bad thing because you had conversation points that you could talk to people about. Now a lot of people don't do that, and it's awkward. Like, oh, hey, who are you? But you could, how was State? How was Louisville? How was your time there? Last year at State during that game, what do you think? That's where it's never a bad thing to be over prepared. So I respected you for it.
Did I grow out of it at all?
Yeah, I'm so proud of how much you've grown. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Well, hold on now. Did Spencer grow at all?
Spence has grown tremendously.
Or he was always elite, I'm sure.
He was always what?
He was always elite. He was always top notch.
Spence was. He was very polished whenever we got there. So we never had to worry about Spence. We knew whatever was going to happen was going to get done.
Well,
but you had that to worry about with me for sure.
I had already had 3 years of experience before y'all already came. I've been to 2 different schools. So I mean, when I got to Wilmington, it was different times, but that's for another day. But
Spence was a great manager for us. I mean, he should be proud of the turnaround. That's the thing. Spence was at the lowest of lows, and he was at one of the highest of highs. And that's how you can really be like, man, that was a good time.
Definitely.
I was sitting in my office the other day, and while I watched the CBI game, I just watched it again because I was sitting there, had about an hour and a half to do free time. And I was like, man, like we really accomplished something. Like you were talking about how we, everybody respected everybody and how much of a family it was. I mean, I think everybody on our team realized how much work we put in. Mm-hmm. I mean, whether it was, doing laundry or rebounding, like those guys respected our time as well. And that's a big thing. Like, I know we were probably there at some hours we didn't want to be there, but it was when we were available and the guys were available too. So you kind of had to work hand in hand. And that's what made it so rewarding in the end.
Yeah. It's huge. It's huge.
Can we go back to the Louisville topic for just a second? Because that's, that's in my mind would be maybe the high point of your coaching career, or at least, that's, you win a national championship there as a manager. And we've discussed this, like, as a manager, it's a thankless job. There's not much glory in it. You're just happy to be a part of it. And so if you win, it's just the cherry on top. It's icing on the cake because you're not promised that. Mm-hmm. So tell us about, well, obviously being a manager there. We know, we've talked about all the things managers have to do, but some interesting manager stories you might have, and obviously, reaching the ultimate goal while you're there.
It's a lot different at the high major level than it is at the mid major level because you have a few more bodies to help you. So it was right around 10 guys every year. And, there was only a few guys who really wanted to coach at that point. And so, but I'll just speak on as far as the time I was there, it was basically the all-time winningest time ever in Louisville basketball, besides obviously when Denny Crum was there, those, good teams. But that span that we had, we won 30 games, I think 3 years or something like that. It was unbelievable. And just to be able to be on the ride and to be in the locker room and to be on the trips and to just witness it, that time like really got me the bug. It really got me the bug. Like, man, when a team comes together and everybody does what they're supposed to do, just the camaraderie and just that drew me to really want to coach. And so I knew when we won the national championship, it was a very euphoric feeling. But like I said, I never did anything to win it, but just to be a part of it and running on the floor with the confetti and cutting the net and being on the stage, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. And just to be a part of it, I knew at that point, the chances of me ever doing it again were very slim. Coaches chase it their whole career and some never, ever, ever get it. And so I knew at that time I had to cherish the moments of it. So I did, I really did. I cherished every moment I could, and I took as many pictures and, kept them all the memorabilia I could because I knew I might never ever get there again. And so, as far as jobs, I mean, I did everything at Louisville. I mean, I did laundry. A lot of schools have equipment managers now. We had one, but he didn't really necessarily do the laundry. That was the manager's duties. So I did laundry. I did Coach Patino's laundry. He would work out a couple days a week or a couple times a day. So he would leave a bag in his office with his laundry, and I'd go in there every night, do his laundry. And so, I did that. I did a lot of video stuff. I videoed practice. I broke down practice. We had to run the clock. We had to stand in practice with a towel. And, we practiced for a little longer than most programs did. And so, you'd be getting tired. Your back start cramping. And, we did individual workouts. We do them at UNCW, but at Louisville, like, we were involved in them. Like, you had to guard the guys one-on-one. I'm guarding Russ Smith and Peyton and all them guys to try to get them better. And so, I was in the best shape of my life during that time because I was participating in things and doing 3 or 4 workouts a day. And so, one thing that people don't really think about, and that, because we chartered everywhere, when the charter came back at 2 or 3 in the morning, there had to be managers to meet the plane. So we would team up with, we would take turns, but on a Tuesday night, somebody would have to go there and meet the plane with the van to load up all the gear. And so, there was long nights. There was nights I was doing stuff till 2 or 3 in the morning, having an 8 a.m. class. And so, that was all I did. I never went out. I never partied. All I did was basketball in school, and I was okay with that. And that's what I wanted to do. So I didn't care. And I never went home in the summer to go home to be with all my buddies. I stayed in Louisville and I helped whatever needed to be done. And so that obviously helped me whenever I was trying to get a job when I graduated. But I did everything and anything you can think of during my time there. And one thing I always tell managers is, listen, you're going to be asked to do some ridiculous things, but you just got to do it. And that's just part of it. It's part of being a part of a program that a lot of things, like, I picked people up from the airport. I took Coach Patino's wife to the airport. I've had to go to Coach Patino's house and help with his Christmas tree. It's just like, you never know. And you always had to be available. And I'd be on date nights, be at a movie, and I'd get a call or a text, hey, I need you to come over here. Can you help me with this? Yeah, I could have said no. But then, you know what? Then I would have broken the trust of some of the assistants and some of the other guys. And then I would have maybe fallen out of their good graces. So whatever anybody said they needed from me, I did it. I didn't care what it was. And I worked on Christmas Day almost every year because we played Kentucky always like around the 27th, 28th of Christmas. And, we were practicing, whether it was early in the morning so the guys could have the afternoon, or Christmas night so the guys could have. So it didn't matter, man. I was going to do it and try to put myself in a good situation to be in a spot to get a job whenever I was graduating. So all the jobs that I did, you guys have done them all. So let me ask you this question. What's the most ridiculous thing you guys have had to do?
Oh, man.
You're going first, Caegan, by the way.
Well, ridiculous. I don't know if I've done
Okay,
anything.
just like unexpected then. What's the most unexpected thing that you never thought it would be included in managerial duties?
Well, I mean, the one that I remember because it was very early on, I did what you did. I came during the summer because, I had that goal in mind of, getting involved and that kind of thing. And so I was there and I hadn't been there long. And I think it was, I don't know if you asked me, I think actually, no, our boy Jack Mertens asked me to take one of our players to the airport. And I come to find out later that they went to the beach that day. So they were picking on the younger manager, which is fine. I mean, I was at the bottom of the totem pole and that's fine. But yeah, I had to take him and we have an airport in Wilmington, but he had to go to Myrtle Beach, which is a good hour and a half away. And it was in the dead heat of August. It was about 100 degrees out. And my car, which that car didn't know me anything. I mean, it was running on 2 wheels. I mean, and the engine was smoking. And I mean, we had to roll the windows down. He had his shirt off. He was sweating. It was so bad. And I had to drive him for an hour and a half. I didn't even know the guy to the airport. And it was awful. It really was. And I was like, I have to do this. And they were texting me like, man, this is going to pay off for you in the long run. I was like, I don't know about this one.
Hey, I respected you after you did that. Just like,
and there's probably a crazier one, but that's the one that sticks out in my mind.
Okay, I like it. Come on, Spence. You had so many years. Caegan only had 1 year.
I think it was some. I mean, just like all the Sam's Club trips, like those, like you. If you would have told me that I was gonna be going to Sam's Club like 3 times a month, like to get the same thing over and over and over again, like I would have just been like, what are you talking, like why, like, and now looking back on it, I'm like, we needed all that stuff. Like, I mean, just the little trips like that. Like, I wouldn't say I have any really crazy stories, like, and going to pick up lunch, like it was an easy task, but it was just like, like, all right, I'm really going to pick up lunch for this guy. Like, I mean, it's just the little things like that. It just like makes me kind of remember my time as a manager.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to add that there were 2 trips to the Myrtle Beach thing, and there was one time where I had to go pick him up, and I get there and it's really busy that day for some reason. I wait in line for about an hour, and he finally gets in the car, and like I said, I'm sweating. The AC doesn't work, and he puts his stuff in my car, and he says, "Hey man, do you care if I get some Cinnabon? Run back inside real quick?" And I was like, "What's another 10 minutes?" And I let him because I was being a manager, doing just letting it fly. But anyway, let's get back on track here. So you're manager at Louisville. You do the right things. You build some relationships, which like you said, that's crucial in any business really. And then you finally get your first opportunity. You were a GA at UNCW, correct? When Coach Keats first came.
I was not.
Oh, so you were a video guy.
I was a video coordinator. Yes,
okay.
I was.
So you get your first opportunity as a video coordinator. What does that mean for a manager to kind of take that leap? Because, from a manager or a graduate assistant to, finally being on staff, like that's in my mind, that's a huge thing. Like that's a huge leap.
That's a huge jump because you begin to get more responsibility, and then you have the opportunity to learn and be a little more involved with the staff, where as a manager, you don't necessarily have time to necessarily sit up in the staff meetings or be around and see those type of things. So whenever you get the opportunity to be on a staff full time, whether it's a grad assistant or a video guy, the opportunities to learn are endless, and you really make of it whatever you want. And I always tell GAs this, the GAs who've worked with me, you can learn as much as you want. It's up to you. It really is up to you. And I was always the type of person who would teach you whatever you needed or whatever you were willing to learn. So with the whole UNCW thing and Coach Keats, it was all the God's timing with it, because when I was at Louisville, every single year I had a different staff. And to this point, I'm pretty sure I was in basketball, 12 years. I was on a staff that was different every year. Somebody left or there was a coaching change every single year I was there. So it just worked out that Coach had got a job that year, Coach Keats to UNCW, and then I was able to go with him. But as a manager, I proved myself in the video room, and I always tell managers this: you have to get in the video room, because there's a million workout guys. There's a million guys who can work guys out and do stuff on the court, but there's not a million guys who know how to run all the video stuff, run the Photoshop, run the Premiere Pro, all the little things that are very needed to run the program. And so I always tell managers, if you are serious, because most likely your first job is going to be a video coordinator or a GA, in which a GA you're going to do video stuff. So you have to learn it from the very beginning and just get as good as you can and sit with the video guy and watch what he's doing. But whenever you get on as a full-time staff member, it's huge, because once you break into college basketball, most of the time, if you're part of a good staff, you're in a good coaching tree family, you'll be okay. You'll be able to ride the wave as long as you can, unless somebody gets fired, and then it's tough. But if you can get that experience, then that's huge getting the next job, because you're going to have maybe a one-up on somebody because you've had experience at the Division I level. So that's very big. It's very big in your career to get that first job.
We talk a lot about managers, and it's the side of college basketball that nobody sees. Another thing I kind of look at as a glorified manager is being a DOBO, director of basketball operations, which you've done at a high major university. What are some things about being DOBO, or at least explain to those who don't know what a DOBO does? Because I don't think you see him on the bench and you say, oh, that's just another assistant coach, but really they're kind of working like a manager in a lot of ways. I mean, doing a lot of the dirty work.
Yeah, so the director of basketball operations is kind of, you're keeping everybody going. So I've done it at the mid-major level and at the high major level at NC State, and it's different. It's different, obviously, because your budget's different, your party size is different. But there used to be trips when we'd get back, and I'd be like, oh my goodness, I just somehow got 50 people to, Miami, Florida. I got them to the hotel. I fed everybody. I got them to the game. I got them back. I got them on the plane. And I somehow orchestrated that all, And so in the director of basketball operations role, you're doing everything from tickets to meals to hotels to travel to financial aid to making sure scholarships are good to housing to taking care of the managers to facilities, practice times, shoot around times for the opponents, arenas. You can't, it's unbelievable how much you have to do. But without that person in that role, the program can't function. And so the person in that role has to be extremely detail oriented, and they have to always be thinking ahead. And you have to have a good feel on your boss. That's important. You have to have a good feel on your boss to know what he likes, to know how he wants to travel, to know maybe what he wants to eat, what foods he may not like, what hotels he likes to stay at, whether it's maybe Marriott's or Hilton's, what type of buses. So, at the end of the day, your rule number one is to keep your boss happy. So you have to do that, but also you're looking out for the players too. So it's a balance, and in the position, you're not going to make everybody happy. That's the hardest thing for people to adjust to is, you're going to get people who say, I don't want this food, or I don't want to stay here, or why are we leaving at this time? But as long as your boss is happy and the players are happy, then you're good. Who cares about what maybe some assistant coaches may say, or, some of the managers might complain, but it's a tough job, but it's a fun job because there's not necessarily the pressure of the coaching aspect on it. So some guys in those roles don't even want to coach basketball, but they want to be around the game, and they may be a more business oriented person. So that's the type of job that you can kind of do. So I was able to get promoted into that position with Coach Keats twice here at UNCW and then at NC State. So it was fun. It's a lot of fun. and it's a lot of pressure, and things change quick. They change quick, and you have to be able to react. And I always tell people this: the biggest difference between the video job and the director of basketball operations job is you can make a mistake in the video job and kind of cover it up, and nobody necessarily see it because nobody may know what the program you're doing. But if you make a mistake in the Dobo job, every single person is going to know, and everybody is going to know that you made the mistake. You can't cover it up. So you're putting out a lot of fires, and the managers are key to helping a good Dobo. So let me ask you guys, have you had during your time here, you've been doing Dobo stuff, right? So
Definitely.
how has that, do you guys think that you've been prepared to maybe do that in the future? Or if you had the opportunity, could you do it?
Yeah, I'm. I mean, I think I could be able to do it. I just think uh, it will be hard for me because I want everybody happy, and I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I want to be that. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to want it to be absolutely perfect. But for me, I'm going to always have a backup plan because I know there's always something's going to happen. Nobody's going to have a perfect trip. So I mean, that's just one of the biggest things I've learned in that aspect is always have a backup.
That's good.
Yeah, and after watching, like Hunter do it this year, and being in that office and seeing him make these phone calls and stuff, and I'm getting a phone call right now. How rude is that? Anyway, I don't know if you guys picked up on that or not, but like watching that, and hearing like making those phone calls, because you told us a lot how, the team is traveling to like Miami, you said, and you're gonna have dinner in the hotel at 7 o'clock when you get there. You've got to make that phone call and really piss some people off over and over because you've got to make sure the job gets done right.
Yeah.
And so like after seeing that, you really realize, and you talked about being prepared, and you could just crush any other job. Like just seeing the detail, like being focused on the details and staying on top of things. Like another thing you told me is like when you get to the hotel, you had all the key cards in order, and you always had coaches on top, correct?
Right.
Just little things like that. Just being I don't know, a top-notch employee, I guess. But yeah, I think I could do it. I'm like Spencer. I would want to please people. I'm a people pleaser, and you've seen me at times. I can get flustered and panic. There will be times where I'm like, yeah, I could fold during that situation. When the food's not right, and coach is like, well, what's wrong? What happened? That kind of thing. But
Yep.
I think that's very important in that job is you can't panic. Like you've got to stay even keel, I think. And
The hardest thing with the job is with a video job, and you guys as managers, you are in control of the job.
mhm.
You control whether the job gets done. Now, as a Dobo, you're depending on other people to get the job done. You're depending on the hotel to make sure the rooms are right. You're depending on a restaurant to make sure the food is done. And that's the most nerve-wracking thing is people aren't necessarily like us. So are they going to get it done? And that's why I would make a lot of people mad because I would call them over and over just to make sure. But Spence, like you're right, you have to have a backup plan because things are going to change.
Right.
And the flight could get delayed. You're going to have a plan with the hotel to push dinner back or to change things around. And so, but you have to depend on people. That's the hardest part is to depend on people because sometimes they'll drop the ball. But like Caegan, you can't panic. You have to just because as soon as you panic, then your thoughts are going all over the place. But if you can stay calm, cool, and collected, then you can come up with another plan and try to figure it out and try to squash it before anybody finds out. But that's the hardest part. I always tell people that is you have to be dependent on other people to get it done. And so that's hard.
All right,
So
I'm gonna interrupt real quick. I thought of a story. It came out of my head. This is it sounds fake, but so my first when I was at Campbell, first month as a manager, it's Friday night. I'm actually just got through rebounding for a player, and these three players lived in an apartment on a third story. So they're all cooking out. Girlfriends are over. all of a sudden we leave the gym and there's some ambulance, fire trucks, and all out where the team stays at. So I'm just thinking, man, I hope that's not them, but we'll ride by and see. I'm taking this guy home. One of the players, I won't name any names. I doubt they're watching or listening, but whatever. Uh, Jumped out of the third story, broke his leg because his girlfriend jokingly came around and said that there was a fire from the kitchen.
Oh boy.
So, I'm just started to be a manager, like not even a full month in. And I have to make this call to our head manager saying, hey, so and so just jumped out of the third window of their apartment, broke their leg, and we have practice in the morning at 9 a.m. So our Dobo was at a Thomas Rhett concert. I had to call him. He was actually an assistant at VMI this year. Call him. He leaves the concert with his wife, and I'm just like, what? Like, we all get to practice the next morning. They call us in, and because I'm the only one that's seen it, or I didn't see it happen, but what I've heard, and I was just like, I have no clue how it happened, but this is how. But that was like the most, like, I was so flustered then because I didn't know what to tell the truth or not, like lie for the player. But also, if you're that dumb to jump out of a third story window, you deserve any punishment. So, moral of the story is broke his leg, didn't play that year, and I don't think he's played basketball since then. He's a coach now. He's a coach now. So, yeah.
Can't get flustered.
No, but go back to we'll get back on topic now.
Yes, please. So you finally, your Dobo, you finally get a position as an assistant. To me, that's pretty big for a former manager. What's the feeling when you find out you're going to be an assistant, and you're actually going to be involved with the strategy and whatnot, you're going to start making a little bit of money, that kind of thing. What's the feeling, when you've crawled from the very bottom?
I would say it's a euphoric feeling. It's a feeling of accomplishment. I always wanted to get to this point, and that was always my goal. Was I want to become a Division I assistant coach. And so when Coach Siddle, blessed me with the opportunity, I was ecstatic because I grinded to get to the point where I was. And obviously was blessed with great opportunities and was a part of great teams that helped me get to where I was at. But I put in a lot of work to get to the point where he trusted me to bring me as an assistant. And I had no experience as an assistant coach, but somebody's got to give you an opportunity at some point. And so for him to do that, I was so thankful. And, I never, ever took it for granted, ever. And every day I got to do it, I was blessed and thankful because I know how many people would love to be in my shoes to do it. So, but one thing that helped me get to that point was just being able to observe. And a lot of those years when I was not an assistant coach, I was able to pay attention to what the other guys were doing and learn from that way. And so that prepared me to be ready for it, and where Coach still felt I was ready to become one. So it was an amazing feeling. I mean, it really was. I'll never forget the day that I got the call that I got the job.
Coach, we had a talking about UNCW, coming here with Coach Siddle. Your first year, it was COVID year. It was difficult for everybody. It didn't go exactly how you wanted, but we regrouped.
Sorry about
that. And we won't get on that, Spence. But yeah, we regrouped and end up having a very special year this year. What are some things you'll take away from this past year's team?
I think this past year's team was the most connected. It reminded me a lot of the 2013 national championship team I was a part of. They were so connected. Everybody, it didn't matter who it was. Everybody in the program understood the goal, and they all did what they're supposed to do. And so as far as a players group, that was the most tight-knit group I've ever been a part of. They did everything together. They didn't care who got the glory. They wanted to win. And so I'll never forget that with this team. And they always believed they were going to win. You know, there was never a point in the year where we thought we were going to lose. You know, even the CAA championship game, you know, we fell short. But in the huddle, like, I honestly didn't think we were going to lose.
Yep.
The guys didn't think we were going to lose.
Yep.
And at the CBI championship, we didn't think we were going to lose. When we were down against Drake, we didn't, you know, we just never thought that we were ever out of the game. And so I will always remember the resiliency of the group, of the belief in one another that, you know, we're not, just because we're down doesn't mean we're out of it. So what would you guys take from it?
Spence, take that one.
This year was like, for me, it was just like a roller coaster ride of emotions. Just because like we were third. We started out slow. I mean, I wouldn't really say we started out slow. I mean, we were the Guilford game. The Guilford game was, I feel like, was our low point. We didn't play good at home, but then it was like after that we just clicked, and we just went up from there. And then the high point game was when I was like, okay, this is when we're about, like, you know, we hadn't won many road games at UNCW while I was there before this year. And me and you had talked about it. I thought I was the curse. I thought it was on any road trip I went on, we were destined to lose just because I was there.
Let the record show every time you posted a picture during the season, we lost the next game. Just let the record show that.
That's
and he stopped posting pictures and we won the CBI. I'm just sorry to interrupt you, but yeah.
So and then the JMU game happened, and we were still. I mean, we were riding high. Then the Towson game, the win streak was going on, and then you win the regular season, and I mean, me and Caegan, when we were going through this year, it was like me and Caegan's dream year. Like, we'd always wanted to be a part of a college basketball team. We wanted to win so bad. We wanted to get the rings. I mean, this was our glory year just because, like, we did so much. We accomplished so much. And I was telling him, I was like, you and me and Jack, I mean, we were here, and Jalen and Mike, we were here the lowest of lows at UNCW basketball. I mean, we were on we went a couple months without winning a game. And then this year we go multiple months not losing a game. It was just like a complete turnaround for me this year.
You know, one of my favorite things about coaching is I literally love the feeling of winning a tight game.
Yes.
I love that feeling of winning a tight, big game. So, you know, it was funny when we started winning them those close games, the High Point, the Campbells. And so it was kind of a running joke because I'd come in the locker room with the stat, like, another close one. Those are the best right there. So after about, you know, every single game was like that, Kurt was like, you still like all these close games? And I was like, I'd prefer to win by 20 if we could. But, you know, those feelings, I'll know, like, I love those type of games.
Coach, when we would pull out, when we would squeak one out, somehow we would be riding back on the bus late at night, or we'd be on the plane, and you'd come sneak back to my seat to get some Rice Krispies, and you'd always look over. We'd end up sitting there for about 30 minutes and talking, but you'd always lean over that seat. And what would you say to me?
Shoot, I'd say a lot of things, but I'd say we're living the life, man.
It's like, this is the time of your life, isn't it?
Time of your life, man. Do not forget this time, because when you graduate and it's the real world, you'll always look back at these times and be like, man, those were fun. Those were fun memories.
Yep. And I think that's all. Me and Spence talk about this all the time. I don't know if you remember this, but after we won the regular season at Delaware, you grabbed me and you said, "These are the moments. This is what I've been talking about."
Oh man, I'm telling you, to be a part of a championship, people don't understand how hard it is to do it.
Oh yeah, it's hard to win. Period.
it's hard to win. You know, you look at Coach Kanaski's career. You know, he's been coaching a long time, and I don't know how many championships he's been a part of. But when you get the opportunity to be a part of one, you have to cherish it. You have to cherish the moment because you never know when that next one's going to come. So that's why I always told you guys, you know, enjoy every moment, enjoy the moments.
Yep. I talked to had the opportunity to see my uncle 2 days ago. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and he coached in high school, and just a great basketball, well, a great mind in all sports. He coached basketball, baseball, football at my high school, and does not get enough credit. The dude, he knows the game. Great coach, and he was talking about the CBI. You know, I hadn't seen him in a long time. He said, "Man, that was like that championship game might be the greatest game I've ever seen. I've seen a lot." And he said, "You know what, Caegan?" He said, "It doesn't matter what level you're at." He said, he pointed at his grandson and said, "You could be at his level playing t-ball, or your level at mid-major, or my level of coaching high school, or at Kentucky." You know, and he was like, he said, "It doesn't matter what level you're at." He said, "If you're a part of it and you're there in the trenches, and you know you're working there every day," he said, "there's no better feeling than being in that locker room, is being a part of it." He said, "There's nothing better in the world," and I have to agree with him.
Oh yeah, he's 1000% right. It doesn't matter what it is. And I asked Coach Kanaski that because he coached at Division II level, and I said, "What's the difference?" You know, obviously you've been all over the place as far as levels. He said, "There's really no difference as far as the games and the strategies and the competitiveness. You know, it's just different athletes.
Yep.
Just the players are either better or worse, but nothing else is different. You know, it's still the same."
I'm when I was at Cape Fear, being a manager, and we won the conference championship to go to the national tournament. I shed a tear. I mean, that was first championship I'd been a part of. You know, running on the court, celebrating. I was actually videoing in the stands because that was the only film we had. And I remember just hitting the record button on the camera and just darting to the other side where everybody was. And I mean, talk about Delaware. I was sitting there, nobody saw me, but because I didn't want to show the emotions in the locker room. I was sitting there, I was like, man, this is awesome. I was like, and I still get emotional watching the games today. I'm just like, we're a part of that. And everybody's always like, oh, you were just a manager, okay, I'm not sure if you get these people that like just random people you tell, oh, what'd you do in college? I was a manager. Oh, so you just did laundry and washed the clothes and all that.
Like,
I'm
you have
like,
no
that's a lot
idea.
more. It's a lot more than that.
They don't understand how many balls you guys shagged, and you guys are, those dudes are, the players that we work with. They get better with us,
Oh yeah.
all the shots that we have to rebound and the shots they're getting up behind the scenes when the coaches maybe aren't at the office. You play a part in that. You play a part in that.
So we're kind of talking about all the great parts of sport, because it's the highest of highs and it's the lowest of lows, the joy of victory and the agony of defeat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So greatest lesson learned as a manager and greatest lesson learned as a coach.
That's a tough question right there. I mean, the greatest lesson probably I learned as a manager is there's a lot that you're going to learn at the bottom, right? You learn everything about the program. And so I will take that with me, and you can take that wherever into the real world, because if you want to find out about the heart of something, whether it's a business or whatever it may be, you got to get to the bottom. So go down to the bottom where the hard work's done, and you can figure out, how this thing runs. And so I learned that as a manager. You got to start at the bottom and find out, what makes this thing go. And so, I talked about it earlier, just just the whole work ethic thing. That was one of the biggest lessons I learned, is that if you work hard, there's no telling what can happen for you. And the biggest thing, I learned as a coach is I learned this, and some people may disagree with me, and that's fine, but you kind of got to pick and choose with guys. the generation of guys now, you cannot be on them all the time. You cannot be on these dudes all the time. So you kind of have to pick your battles. You got to be able to let them be who they are, you know. It's like some coaches won't let guys wear headbands or wear arm sleeves or wear different color shoes than the jersey, but they're just being who they are, you know. And if that makes them play better, then you know that's fine with me. And so you got to, and one thing I really learned is, and this applies to anything in life, is people are motivated differently. So you can't coach a kid the same way as the other kid. You have to be able to establish a relationship with them, figure out maybe their past on, because everybody has a past, everybody's been affected somehow in their childhood. What makes them, what motivates them, what can get them to get better. And so you gotta get to know the kid and then figure out, can I get on him? Do I have to pull him to the side? Do I have to bring him in one-on-one? What do I got to do to make sure that he gets better? So that helped me a lot as far as the coaching aspect. And I'll take that as I continue coaching.
Coach, I know we've taken a lot of your time. You're a family man. You've got a wife waiting on you. You've got your ducklings that you just put to bed. So I'm gonna try to wrap this thing up for you. I really am. Two questions I have for you. Number one, let's change this just a little bit. You became a dad and a husband at a young age, correct?
Yeah, I got married at, I think I was 22, right out of college. And then I became a father about 2 years later. I was 24, I think, when I had my son, my first son. So I'm 30 now, and I got 3 kids, 3 little boys.
So what does it mean to you to be a dad and to be a husband too?
It's huge. It's one of the biggest responsibilities you'll ever have in your life. And as a husband, that's my number one responsibility. And I want my children to see me love my wife, so that that is an example for them whenever they will eventually marry somebody. So me and my wife, you know, we have a very tight relationship. We've been through a lot as far as with basketball. We've moved a lot. And so it's really been just us, you know, we've been away from family, and we're a very tight knit group. And so me and her, we always have to be on the same page with basketball. We always have to be on the same page with schedules. And so it's very, you know, the business is very chaotic. So you have to have a great wife. You have to have a great relationship with her in order for it to work. And then, you know, as far as a father, what does it mean to me? You know, you guys know how important my faith is to me. And, you know, I've been told, you know, that a child's view of God is how, you know, their view of their father. And so, as a father to my 3 boys, I want to depict God the best way I can. And so that, when they become older, that, you know, eventually they'll have the choice whether to choose my faith or not. And so I want to be the best father I can to my boys, because I know a lot of people in this world don't have fathers, and that's just the reality of the world we live in. So I want my boys to be as blessed as they can, and I want to be a part of their life as much as they can. I want to be at every aspect of their life. And there's a big difference in quantity of time versus quality of time. And so my biggest thing with my boys is, when I'm with them, I want to be with them. You know, I want to be physically with them. I want to be present with them mentally, spiritually. And so that's hard, obviously, nowadays with all the technology, but I just want to have a great relationship with my boys, because to me, I can accomplish anything in the world. And if my relationship with my boys is strained, then to me, who cares what I accomplished? You know, your job isn't, you know, who you are, it's what you do. And so my boys can care less what I probably do if I'm not, if I'm not a father to them. If I'm the president of the United States, but I'm a bad father, then they're gonna think of me differently. So I've always been I've always been a thinker. Growing up, I always was. And so I always knew I was going to get married young, and I always knew I wanted to be a young dad, because I wanted to be able to be young and enjoy the moments. And like my son Grady, he's 5 now, and he loves basketball. And so we played baseball yesterday, so he didn't get to play basketball with me. So he wanted to do a 2-a-day today to make up for his missed day. So we got up at 7:15. He wanted to get up at 7:15, and we did a 25-minute workout before school today. And then when he got back from school this evening, we did another one. So, those are the times that I'm going to cherish. And I want all my boys to know at the end, whenever they become adults and become fathers, that I gave them everything I got, everything I had for them. So.
Beautiful, beautiful. And
What do you
I've learned. Hold on, Spence. I've because I want to talk about you here for a second. Because this is a tender moment here. Spence, I've learned so much from watching you as a father. With your son Shaquem Phillips. Dropping him off and picking him up every day, and taking him to Bojangles and really taking the time to teach him the things that your son needs to know. So I just really want to commend you for that, Spence.
if we need to clip that little minute or minute and a half of what it means to be a dad and a husband, and we need to put that in the dictionary, because that was perfectly said whatsoever. And I mean, I had the privilege of working with you for 2 years, and I saw that every day when your kids would come to practice or whenever they came. You were 100% devoted to them, and that's impactful for me. I mean, like you said, some of us don't get to grow up with dads, and I unfortunately lost mine at 15, and it was impactful for me to see, because that's how I want to be as well.
Yeah, that's one thing that I always said on my journey is, people don't understand this, but 60, might be almost 70% now of Division I coaches end up divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a very hard business to maintain a family and a marriage. So whenever me and my wife got married and got into the business, we always said we wanted to be an example on how you can maintain a healthy relationship, a godly relationship, and still be in the business. And then same thing with being a father, your time is limited. So the times you do have with your kids, you have to make the most of it and be present. So that was always one thing I always wanted to do whenever I got in this, is I wanted to be a resource for coaches as far as how to, maybe be a light to them in the relationship, and then to young guys, because, there's going to be guys you're going to coach who didn't have fathers, who didn't maybe grow up in a healthy family. There's going to be managers. There's everybody, the way the world is today. So I just wanted to be a resource for guys and just be an example, and to be somebody that they could always call whenever they leave and begin their life journey, to try to help them. And I'm no way even close to being perfect with the way I do things, but I try to be the best I can be, and I try to help as many people as I can, because that's really what it's all about. It's never been about me, never will be about me. I just want to be able to impact as many people as I can while I'm here.
It's probably also important to add that when we would see the kids roll up at practice, they were being pushed in those strollers, or led by the hand by Miss Allie Hackert, who I don't know if I ever spoke to your wife, but because she was always busy wrangling those kids, but she's a superstar for sure. We can't give Coach all the credit.
No, I mean, I've said this multiple times to many people. I couldn't coach without her.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't coach without her, because when we go on those 5-6 day road trips, when we're on the double, she's here at the house with the 3 kids, 3 boys under, 5 and under, by herself. Now, not a lot of people could do that, but she does it with a smile on her face. She never complains, and she's an amazing wife. And so I always tell her, I'm so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for you, because I couldn't do what I do without you. So it's huge. She deserves so much credit for me even being where I'm at, because she has sacrificed a lot.
No doubt. So, Coach, you're in this position now where you're getting out of. I wouldn't say you're getting out of coaching, because I think whatever you're going to do for the rest of your life, you'll coach and you'll teach and you'll lead. But you're moving to a different avenue of life, a new job. So what does the future hold for Travis Hackert?
It was a very tough decision for me this past couple, month or so. And so I had an opportunity to go work for a family business, a business that I've kind of seen start from something very small and grow into something. And so did I ever think I was going to ever do this? No. The opportunity came, across my table, and my family presented it to me. And I never thought I would ever do this. I thought I was coaching forever. And God kind of, one thing I always do is I pray about any decision that's coming up. I'm going to pray about it and talk to my wife. We're going to pray together. And I am a big advocate that God's peace will lead you where he feels like, where he's leading you to go. That's where your peace will be at. And so now that my boys are kind of getting older and they're going to begin to start doing sports, and I don't have the availability necessarily, because college basketball is very demanding time-wise. It's very demanding on your schedule. It's year-round now with summer access and recruiting. And so I felt this opportunity gives me the availability to be a part of their lives a little more and be a part of, my wife's life a little more. And so like you said, though, this is not the end of my coaching career. It's the end of the college aspect for now. Now, God may open the door later on down the road that may call me back in, but I will 100% coach my boys. And that's the thing I enjoy the most is coaching, just coaching. College basketball is so much more than coaching. People don't understand that. Coaching is probably 15% of the job at the college level.
Most definitely.
And so the coaching aspect is my favorite aspect of the job. I love the games. I love practices. I love that stuff. And so I'm definitely going to be doing that with my boys. And so the coaching's not over with, but the coaching at this level is. And it was a hard decision. It was a very hard decision because I've worked hard, and we've talked about it this whole time about how hard you've got to work to get to where you're at. And a lot of people that I've talked to said I'm crazy. You're doing what? I can't believe you're doing that. You've worked hard, but God has led me through my life and has always been ahead of me. And every opportunity I've taken, maybe something happened, create back where I would have been. So I know God is ahead of me. So with my faith, I just trust that he knows more than I do. He knows better than me. So I'm going to trust him with this opportunity that I've got to go work in the family business and be around my family more and be around my wife's family and kind of have more of a normal life, you could say. And not that I want to be normal, but I want to be able to have a little more time with my kids and my wife. And so life's going to be different for sure. And it's going to be an adjustment because we all know that this job is 24/7, whether you're a manager, assistant coach, doesn't matter. You have to be available 24/7. And now having to be able to not necessarily be going 24/7 in your mind, not going like that is going to be different. But I'm excited for the new chapter of my life and looking forward to the new beginnings of, working in the family business. And so we'll see, but I'm so thankful for the time I've had. I couldn't have asked for a better, 12 years in it than I've had and that I've been able to experience. I've experienced a lot of great games, a lot of championships, a lot of great teams, and I'll always cherish them. And I'll be a part of many more as time goes on.
Well, Coach, we know you're gonna be successful because we know the kind of guy you are. We wish you the best of luck. I know Spencer's gonna want to say it too, but I really want to thank you for kind of putting me under your arm and teaching me some things and being good to me. I will say that was one of the first. I was nervous. I didn't know what I was getting into, and here comes this lanky guy in these shorts that are way too short. I mean, way too long.
I wear shorts. So
Yeah, your shorts are too long for sure. Yeah, you don't wear shorts. And here he comes, and he's like, "Hey, man, teach me this and that, And it meant a lot to me because I really didn't know what I was doing, but it's I just needed somebody to show that they cared, and you did it. So I'll be grateful for that forever, Spence.
Same thing. I mean, when I first walked in that first day, we were all sitting behind Ryan's desk, just kind of, and I mean, you guys showed me and taught me a lot of things that I never thought I would learn, and you were somebody that I could, especially this year, about to graduate and making life decisions for futures and all. But I mean, you helped me in a lot of ways other than basketball. I mean, whether it was watching you with your kids, us just talking randomly with things I've been through this year and in the past, and whether I was figuring out if basketball was really coaching was what I really wanted to do or whatnot. You were somebody I could come and talk to whenever, and I really do appreciate it. And I mean, I know we're gonna all come back to a reunion about 10 years from now, and when the 2022 Seahawks are celebrated, and we'll all look over these moments. But I mean, I just appreciate everything you did for me.
you guys are the best, man. I always have a heart for you guys. Like I said, I've been there, so I understand what you're going through, and we're all people, man. We're all people, and we're all going through different things. So I appreciate us. Appreciate you guys serving us and helping us.
Another phone call, and we're having a great moment there. Just another phone call.
I mean, guys, you got to make sure you silence your phones. I mean, let's have a feel. Both of you
This
guys
is my computer.
Terrible feel there,
bad feel.
and not being prepared. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, I can't thank you enough for being on. I mean, I think this has been awesome, and it's just, I mean, it's great just to talk, because I mean, we all enjoy each other's company. We've had a lot of these. What people don't realize, we've had these conversations so many times sitting in the dungeon, under the staircase. So it was good to talk again. I want to add we are on Facebook now, so if you're listening, please go check out our Facebook page, give us a like, get in touch with us. And Spence, do you have anything you want to add? Closing remarks? Speak now or forever be silent.
Another episode down.
Episode number 3 down, coming at you with number 4. Stay tuned. Thank you all for listening again. This has been your boy Caegan Jackson and
the Spencer Hargrove.
Thank you.